Sudden Substitution. This is where we take an expensive commander card that you may not be able to put in your deck and give you some budget alternatives. And tonight, we're doing a card that I have been on record as calling for being banned many times. But Cyclonic Rift is an expensive Magic card, no matter how many times it's printed, it seems.
Which is surprisingly few, considering it's been out for 8 years.
That's true. Well, they put it into, what, one commander set?
It was in the Teferi Commander 2014, and it was in the Modern Masters 2017.
Yeah, so I don't know. They probably thought that it was going to be a card that, oh, we'll reprint this a few times, and then we'll just start putting it in commander sets every year. But then it's like they took a year off, and next thing you know, the card's $25, and they're like, well, now we can't put this into a $35 MSRP product.
No, we got to print Champion of Lambholt 3 times in the calendar year of 2020, but...
I think this is actually like a card that they put once in a commander deck, then regretted it. Not because of the price, just because of the play patterns and like the...
Yeah, that may be true.
Like the convergence of how like the arch eneminess of it, I think. It's sort of like how they've avoided putting like Rhystic Study and Exsanguinate in precons. I think they recognized their mistake and got feedback from like focus groups or something about Cyclonic Rift and felt the same way, at least in terms of precons.
On that note, I don't know when this show goes live, but we might all be looking really stupid if the show goes live like Thursday or Friday.
I mean,
yeah, well,
it may be in double masters.
Looking stupid is that's our thing.
If it gets reprinted, it's still
fear.
gonna end up being more expensive than any of our budget replacements. So
yeah, right now Cyclonic Rift is about $35. It's pretty expensive, even with the reprint and double masters. It would probably still be pretty pricey. So let's talk about some alternatives. We'll let the guest go first. Caffrey, tell us if you are looking for an alternative to Cyclonic Rift that does not cost $35, what you'd be looking at.
Okay, so Cyclonic Rift is a blue instant, so I think the most logical replacement is to go with a white enchantment from Visions.
Of course.
The card we're going with is Equipoise. It's a $2 rare. At the beginning of your upkeep, for each land target player controls in excess of the number you control, choose a land that player controls, then the chosen permanents phase out. Repeat this process for artifacts and creatures.
I have to say, I had never seen this card before
dirty.
You brought it up to
so
us.
It's like a fixed balanced if the definition of fixed was not fixed.
Yeah, so I mean, Caffrey, do you have experience playing with this card at all? I imagine it makes some people pretty annoyed if you slam this on the table.
No, right now my playing is confined to Arena, and that's about it.
Yeah, they haven't quite gotten divisions on Arena yet.
Yeah, it's probably gonna take a while.
Yeah, maybe.
But looking at the card, you know, you have a card that doesn't just end the game when you play it, which isn't really fun for anyone. You get a lot of politics out of it. If it's my turn, then I phase out the person who's after the person who's next, so the third player in orders. If I phase out some of their creatures, the second player can just attack for a bunch.
Yeah, that's right.
Or they could argue back the other way of phase out the second player's permanents for me, so that way I can attack them.
Yeah, political cards like that in Commander are very powerful and a lot of fun. I'll jump in next, and I'm going to go with a Commander 2016 blue card. It's 7 mana. It's a sorcery, though. However, what it loses, rather, not being an instant, it makes up for in mana. Coastal Breach, 7 mana. However, it has the ability Undaunted, where it costs 1 less for each opponent. Return all non-land permanents to their owner's hands. So, yes, look, we understand when we make this series. We're going to be suggesting some cards that maybe can't always duplicate the effect exactly. And Coastal Breach is not going to duplicate the Cyclonic Rift effect. However, in Commander, when you have all kinds of mana at a late point in the game, paying 4 mana for a Coastal Breach to bounce everything in play and then using your mana first, that's pretty powerful. So,
this card is just fine.
Yeah, $4, very solid replacement, or card that you want to play in addition to Cyclonic Rift. Jason, why don't you go next?
You're not gonna, for less than $35 right now, you're not gonna get a card that is like both an instant and doesn't mess with your permanents. It's not a thing.
The Cyclonic Rift is silly.
We're picking budget replacements for a reason. I like Devastation Tide. I don't mind paying 5 for Devastation Tide, but I really like paying 2 for Devastation Tide. I don't want this in everybody's deck, because if you're playing against me, you're like, oh, I gotta play for 2 because I drew it.
Yeah, the miracle cost is that what we're talking about, right?
I'm compelled by the laws of value, which you believe in as financiers, to pay 3 fewer mana because I have that option. I have to play it now. So, like, if this person rips it on turn 3 and they bounce a Soul Ring, they did it. So Devastation Tide, it's kind of modal in the way that Cyclonic Rift is somewhat modal, where you could just bounce one problem permanent, or you could make the game take an additional 35 minutes, which is what the only thing Cyclonic Rift does. Devastation Tide at least has the good sense to bounce your stuff so that like the game takes an extra 45 to 50 minutes because
it's still
you don't get farther ahead with it.
Yeah, it's still going to take forever, but at least it's going to be a little more fair while it takes forever.
Fair, exactly. So
yeah, card's great, and it's only $1.
It's $1. It's a $3 foil.
There you go, DJ. Round to finish us off here. What do you got?
I have a card that I learned how to pronounce today. Cataract Leviathan from Shards of Alara. This is a card. Cataract, I believe it is.
Which word could you not pronounce? Were you saying Leviathan?
It's Leviathan, Jason.
Leviathan. Yeah, Harry Potter. We're boomers.
That was
it.
Yeah.
So this is around $4 or $5. It's a card that I'm just kind of surprised has never been reprinted, but it's it is 8 mana 5/5. When it enters the battlefield, return all other non-land permanents to their owner's hands, but it also has Unearth for 7 mana. So if you are in a tight bind and it's just sitting in your graveyard, you can pay 7 and bring it back, sweep the board. This is a card with a lot of crazy blink shenanigans. There's not many, like you can't Deadeye Navigator a Cyclonic Rift. You can't you can't Vidalcan Ori most other Wraths or most other board wipes. It's just a very unique card, and that is it's staple to a body. So you can reanimate it, you can flash it in, you can make it cost less through various cheatiness effects. There's a lot of things you can do with this, and you're left with a 5/5 while everyone else's stuff is stuck in their hand. And it's I actually thought this was like a bulk rare, and I think it was a bulk rare for a very long time, but it is slowly crept up to around $4. So it's a breaking bulk and a sudden substitution.
What's interesting to me about this entire segment that we're doing here is we're talking about all these cards, and I've been looking at the graphs for them as we go. And you know what? We're actually seeing some movement upwards. Both with
Do you know why? Because they're budget replacements.
Because people are always on the hunt for...
That's what I'm getting at. Jason's right. It's because they're budget replacements for Cyclonic Rift.